The other day, I got the best gift I could ever get. 18 hours of home videos.
And what's your pleasure this morning, Mr. Clark?
These are from back in the 90s, where recording video was a full production, like heavy VHS tapes in there. Maybe you've had this experience where you look at old photos of you. Isn't it funny how you see your true self in that? Like you're watching this, and even though you're 7, 12, 4, whatever your age, you're like, I am that person. Like that's still me that I have today. It can make you really emotional. And that's what we're talking about today, that there's a core of you that's unchanging. The real solution isn't about changing yourself. It's about reconnecting with that core that is you. Another problem is we think that who we are at the core isn't enough. It's not enough to win the love from people. So we develop strategies. You take on what is called a persona. If we can wear a mask and get people to buy that we are this, then that's more desirable because there's parts of me that aren't enough or aren't good enough or worthy or deserving of love. An analogy I love here, so if you're walking by a street and you look in a window, they put all their good stuff in the front window, the stuff they want you to see to draw you in, right? Well, that's what we do with what we think are our best features or our best beliefs or how people want us to act. And then every store has the back closet where they have the rejected things, dusty products that no one wanted. And that's like your shadow. So you have this dynamic between your persona, which is front facing, and your shadow, which is in the back closet. And that's the things that you think no one would accept if they really knew you or who you are. That is so undeserving of love. That is so undesirable. I can't let anyone see that. And so we go through life with this dichotomy of persona and shadow. When I was single, I went through a phase of trying to figure out what women want. I think every guy does this. You know, you're a single dude, you want to date, it's very frustrating. Maybe you've experienced a couple heartbreaks or rejections. And so you go to YouTube University, just like you are right now. From video one, they're giving you the lines to say, the theories, the dynamics. Okay, all right, maybe that's how it works. And I'd go to bars or I'd, go on dates and I'd start saying some of these lines. All of a sudden, people are laughing. And you're like, oh, okay, laughter, they're into me. Okay, that works. Or you rehearse a few stories about yourself and then you say one and wow, you get good reactions. And so you start getting all this data from your persona. And then a funny thing happens, you get really screwed. Not in the good way. I guess when you're dating, you want to get screwed. Because a thought pops in your head. Do they like me? Or do they like the lines that guy in the video told me? If they're responding to this, aren't they just liking the dude in the video? Now you have a whole new sense of doubts about your worth and if you even deserve that person or love to begin with. And your whole relationship becomes trying to uphold a persona, uphold this frame, this masculine frame that I can't let her see weakness. As soon as you start taking on a persona and playing into a role that you think you have to be, you're losing that essence, that core, that authenticity. And if you attract someone from a place of your persona, your relationship's doomed because now you're going to be worried about getting found out. Or now you're going to alter the real you who maybe was more attractive. Or worse, it's going to exhaust you because going through life with a persona, with upholding an image, with posturing everywhere, you reach a breaking point where you're like, I can't be that anymore. And I think deeper is everyone uses labels to hide out in the name of authenticity. Brief personal story here. When I was a kid, I was diagnosed with the worst ADHD you could ever have. My 6th period class was literally the principal's office because I was acting up so much. They're like, hey, let's just put Clark in there, because he's just, we know it's gonna happen. And I got uninvited to my middle school graduation. So it would have been completely authentic for me to be like, well, I have ADHD, so I can't focus and, I can't do anything. I'm quirky. But I didn't want that to control me. I don't believe in medication. That's a personal choice. That's a discussion for another time. So I had to learn through things like breath work, through meditation, through having a goal, how to manage that can't sit still type of energy. ADHD wasn't a flaw. It was an advantage because I get so obsessed over a goal. I block everything out in my life until it's done. Like this YouTube channel. When I was growing to 1 million subscribers, it was the only thing I wanted to do. And up until 1 million, I filmed every video myself. I wrote every video. I designed every thumbnail. I edited every video. I produced it because I was so obsessed with getting to 1 million subscribers. All the success came from that disadvantage, which was ADHD. And it wasn't that I couldn't focus, it was that I had zero tolerance focusing on things that I thought didn't matter. What I'm saying is don't use authenticity and this message I'm sharing as anything that feels uncomfortable means I shouldn't go there. Just because you have an essence, a core of who you are that we're trying to source from, doesn't mean things are always going to feel effortless and easy, but pushing yourself is not forcing yourself. So I want to give you 3 questions. These will really help. And if you're looking for like a coffee shop exercise or journaling prompts, your growth is in these 3 questions. Question number 1, where do I cringe at myself? Cringe is interesting in that when I look back on what I cringed on when I did this question, it was a mixed bag. There was the camp of things that I would cringe at that wasn't me at all, like old Instagram photos, old videos. And I can look back on that and understand that that's a warning sign. Like if you have a cringe meter, if you're too far in the red, it's saying like, oh, this is not natural, dude, bring it back down to your essence, your core. But then there's the sign where you're not cringing enough at yourself, or you're overly cringing at everything you do that you don't need to cringe by. And sometimes being our true self can feel unnatural, which we label as cringe. And I find most people are in that camp. There's a great saying I live by: don't kill the part of you that's cringe, but kill the part of you that cringes. Question 2, who's the influence you're trying to be like? Who is the influence you're trying to be like? This is where we're going to find out where you're sourcing your persona from. Now, it's totally fine to have role models and be inspired by people. In fact, I think some of the inspiration is because you have those same things within you. You know, you see someone really funny, you've been really funny. You see someone really confident, there's times you've been confident. And so you see that and you're like, oh, that's an attractive part of who I am. But then there's times where we're trying to morph and conform into somebody or an ideal image of what we think we should be. Getting into self-improvement, my first role model was Tony Robbins. I was a janitor and I had 40 hours a week of just scrubbing the same spots in dorm rooms. And I would spend 2 hours in one room on a college campus. Then, okay, finally done, close the door. And then you open the next room and it's the same room except dirty. And you have to do that all over again for 40 hours a week. I went crazy. And so to not go crazy and break up the monotony of it, I would listen to self-improvement motivational speeches. And Tony Robbins, I would just put on his personal power program over and over again. And in my early days, I was trying to be just like Tony. That's it. I would talk really fast. I would speak in Instagram inspirational captions, right? The way to get over fear is to find a fear bigger than your current one. Trade your expectations for appreciation and your whole life changes. One-liners. I love Tony to this day, but he is a freak of nature in terms of excellence. It's like you being a basketball player and then comparing yourself to Michael Jordan, and everything you do, if it's not Michael Jordan level, it's terrible. And so for years I had the belief that I have to always be mind-blowing. That was it. Like when I drilled it down, I'm like, I can't be boring for 1 second. I can't pause. I can't be slow. I can't collect thoughts. I have to be mind-blowing and perform. And it messed me up, because God forbid you have an off day, right? God forbid you have a little low energy day. God forbid you have human emotions that aren't just like max out 10 out of 10 positivity. I don't have any relationship with Tony whatsoever. I've never met the guy. I would love to one day, but I'm willing to bet that when the cameras are off, there's moments where he has a bad day, or there's moments where maybe he snaps and doesn't say the right thing. And this is the guru trap, and why I'm talking about like who's the influence you're comparing to. Because behind the scenes, it's impossible for us to know what's going on. And so the guru trap is that they project one side of themselves. And so you see that and your mind fills in the blanks. It says, well, they're always like that. And I'm not always like that, therefore I can't be that. And it breaks my heart because I see a lot of people who could have a massive impact on this world who think that because of who they are in private, you know, that side they have to reject, and it's I can't even go there. So question 2, who's the persona you're taking on? Who's the influence you think you have to live up to? Question 3, what part of you is not okay to be with? What part of you is not okay? You might hear that and say, well, that's negative. I don't want to go there. I'm told to, you know, not think negative thoughts like the law of attraction told me. I believe I got it from Brene Brown. She talks about how shame and guilt are like a petri dish. If you have a petri dish and you drop a virus in there and you put it in a closet, that whole thing multiplies. The whole dish is full of bacteria and growth. But as soon as you bring that dish out into sunlight or UV, and expose it in the light, things can't grow in that condition because it's in the light. And that's what happens to us is when we repress and suppress these parts of ourselves that are undesirable, these colors in that spectrum, we grow mold, our own psychological mold or our own psychological virus. And that's what guilt and shame are. And that's what really robs us of our life force. And so this video, I'm trying to get you to realize that it's okay to be all of you. You don't have to hide out. You don't have to masquerade as something you're not. You can drop that belief. And the more you are you at the core, the less you're going to have to hide out and the more energy you're going to have through life. And I guarantee your results are going to be better and you're going to feel more proud of them because it's actually you. It's not a persona. You take those 3 questions, you answer them, and I promise your next growth spurt is on the other side. What do you think of this video? I know it's deep, but I hope it allows some lightness on you, that you don't have to hide out anymore. You don't have to worry about being someone you're not. You're never going to be that person. And you're always going to feel like something's missing or lacking or you don't deserve it if you're operating from there. Thanks so much for watching. I love you. I'll see you in the next video. Stop settling, start living. See ya.